entire Persian Empire collapsed under the leadership of Umar ibn Khattab. So Abu Lu'lu', he already had all this pent-up anger and rage towards the Muslimin. And now he feels that he's being dealt unjustly. So being the skilled craftsman that he was, he made a dagger. But this dagger was special. It was a dagger that was specially made for Omar. Now what kind of a dagger do you have to make if you want to kill Omar? It's not enough to just have a weapon against Omar. Omar was built different. So this dagger was double-edged, so that when he would cut, he wouldn't have to remove the knife before being able to cut again. He could just slice both ways. And because he knew that Omar was built different, he also dipped this double-edged dagger in some poison, and he left it so that the metal would completely absorb the poison. So that even if the stab wounds didn't kill Omar, the poison would kill Omar. And Umar ibn Khattab, he was famous for leading Fajr in al-Masjid al-Nabawi and reciting long, beautiful surah in the first rak'ah of Salat al-Fajr. And so Abu Lu'lu' knew that this is where Umar would be. Now keep in mind, I don't know if you guys ever came to pray Fajr when there was a power outage. Okay? But if anybody has ever prayed Fajr at the Masjid during a power outage, it's a really, really beautiful prayer. It's very beautiful, mashallah. There's no lights. Because Fajr literally is before sunrise, right? Once it's sunrise, it's shuruq, Fajr is done. So it's dark. And they would pray at the beginning of Fajr time because he would recite for so long that if you pray in the middle of Fajr time or at the end, you miss Fajr by the time you finish the salah. So they would play very early in the early times of Fajr. And Umar would recite in the first rak'ah, he would love to recite Surah Yusuf. Beautiful surah. Even for people who don't understand too much Arabic, there's a beauty to Surah Yusuf that you understand, subhanAllah, even if you don't understand the words. It's a beautiful, very melodious, very beautiful surah. Imagine starting your day with that, with Umar leading the salah in Masjid al-Nabawi. It's a beautiful thing. Dark, peaceful, serene, angels in relative, Sahaba all there, Tabi'een, Umar leading, Allahumma barik. And Umar ibn Khattab, he recited Surah Yusuf, he went into the court, and Abu Lu'lu', he was praying in the front row. He wasn't a Muslim, but he prayed in the front row and he hid the dagger beneath his arm. It's dark, so you can't really tell. You can't really tell who's there. And when Umar ibn Khattab, he made his first report, and then he got up, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Rabbana lakal hamd, and then he said, Allahu Akbar, and he went into sujood. Abu Lu'lu', he jumped out, and he stabbed Umar 9 times, in his shoulder, in his back, in his sides, and when he got up, he stabbed him in the stomach across his abdomen, and this was the slice that killed him. But he was still alive. Umar was still alive. And when he called out, when Umar called out, قَدْ قَتَلَنِي كَلْبِ, he said, the dog has killed me, because he knew it was Abu Lu'lu'. He placed Abdurrahman ibn Auf in front, and just like think of what you'd be thinking about. He literally put Abdurrahman ibn Auf in front to finish the salah. Because there were people in the back of the masjid who didn't know what was happening. All they knew was that Umar didn't say Allahu Akbar. So they started saying Subhanallah. Why did they say Subhanallah? Why did people in the back of the masjid say Subhanallah? To correct the mistake. They thought it was a mistake. When you're in salah and the imam makes a mistake in the movements of salah, the proper thing to do for the man is to say Subhanallah, to remind the imam that he made a mistake. They thought Umar had made a mistake because he didn't get up from sujood. He didn't say Allahu Akbar. This is Subhanallah. And Umar, realizing that people had to finish their salah, he's just been stabbed 9 times by a double-edged poison dagger. He takes the time to put Abdurrahman ibn Auf in front and complete the salah. Abdurrahman ibn Auf recites Surah Al-Kawthar very quickly and he ends the salah. But in the meantime, Abu Lu'lu' is trying to escape. But the rows are tight, because Umar would personally go row by row and he would tighten the rows. SubhanAllah, just today, Salat al-Isha, just as like literally half an hour ago when I came in for Salat al-Isha, there were a lot of gaps in the back. We closed the gaps, foot to foot. So Umar would personally, as the imam, he would go into the roads, he would fix the gaps. So these guys are tight. And Abu Lula's trying to get away. Where is he going to go? And so he makes a path for himself by stabbing Muslims along the way. He killed 9 Muslims that morning, and he wounded 13 Muslims. And on his way out, they don't have any weapons on them, right? It's also such a, don't carry your spears or your swords. They threw a thawb on him. Someone had a thawb, they threw on him. And when he realized the Muslims had surrounded him, he stabbed himself in the chest 3 times and killed himself. After Abdullah ibn Auf had finished Salah, they had carried Omar. The Sahaba carried Omar and placed him in the back of the masjid. They were trying to wake him up. And Abdullah ibn Omar, his son, was trying to wake him up. And you see this mountain of a man in front of you. One of my uncles, Omar, he passed away a few years ago. And I remember when he passed away, Omar was this large man. Maybe some of you guys know him. Anybody who knows me or my family, you know my Imam Hassan, a huge man. His hand was like the size of my head, huge hands, very strong, built man, right? And when he passed away, I remember holding his hand. And it was massive, it was very heavy. Just his hand. I can't imagine Omar, right? Carrying Omar with a ball, like this giant of a man, carrying him to the back and holding him and placing him down. How many men had to carry him, place him down, and he's lost consciousness, and his son Abdullah, he's trying to wake his father up, and nothing will come up. Until around sunrise, when he woke up by himself, what was the first thing Omar said? Did he say, did you catch him? Did you kill him? Where is that dog? Where am I? What did he say? What was the first thing on his mind? He said, Asalla nas, because he saw it was sunrise. He said, did people pray? Did people finish their prayer? Before anything. Bro, the guy is oozing blood, poison. His question is, did people pray? Did the people pray? And they said, yes, people pray. He said, how do you do that? Because there is no share in Islam for the one who does not pray. There is no share in Islam for the one who does not pray. How many prayers? Guys? How many prayers have we lost? How many prayers have we wasted? How many prayers have we preferred the dunya? La ilaha. Someone who holds on to his prayer, you can't harm this guy. You can't hurt this guy. Nothing can hurt this guy. That brings you a power that nothing else can bring. There are some guys who are sitting here today. I don't know where they're sitting. But today they sent a video of themselves praying Salat al-Jum'ah on the sidewalk. Did they? Because their school wouldn't let them pray inside the building. These are men that nothing can hurt. These are men that nothing can touch. When you prefer your salah over anything, that puts you at a different level. He didn't do enough. And he looks around the ummah and he finds his brother. And Umar says, wow, you lived in a time where you had the entire mushaf on your phone. You lived in a time when you could learn about any Islamic topic you wanted with the touch of a button. You lived at a time when you could fill your time with so much khair. What did you do? And this guy's thinking of Luffy. He's thinking of Luffy, and he's like, well, Luffy wanted to be a great pirate. I saw that a lot. Stop. You're going to die the way you lived. And you're going to be brought back to life on your own Qiyamah with those you loved and those you behaved like. And I wish the Allah can make us be resurrected with the lights of Omar. I'm going to end off with this, inshallah. Omar, he made a choice early on in his life. that day that he was going to go and murder the Prophet Muhammad, he made a choice that day that he was going to become a Muslim. And when he made that choice, he gave everything he had for Islam until he died. He died for Islam, and Allah honored him. My question to us is, how much of our life are we giving for Islam? Would we make that choice like Omar? Because Omar could have chosen not to do that. Omar could have chosen not to do that. It was a choice. You all get to choose what you spend your time doing. You all get to choose what you do before bed at night. You all get to choose what you spend your time for. And if it's for your dunya, or if it's for your pleasure, or if it's for your fun, or if it's for anything other than Islam or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you make your choice. But those who really want Jannah, and those who really want honor in this life and in the next, they choose to spend their life for Islam. I hope that Allah can honor all of us with that choice. I see a lot of really talented, really amazing brothers in front of me, mashallah. And I can only imagine where Islam will be when you guys all decide that you want to give your time to Islam. That's going to be amazing, inshallah. And Allah bless you guys and honor you guys. And bless the Muslimin. And make us unite with people like Omar, Khattab, and Abu Bakr, and the Prophet Muhammad because of our love for them. And honor those who are currently giving the greatest sacrifice in Palestine and in other countries for Islam. Today's the last day we're going to talk about Omar, but he's going to show up in a lot of the next halaqat we're going to be giving, inshallah. We're going to continue our series with stories from the lives of Sahaba as of next week, inshallah. May Allah accept from us and allow us to benefit from the lessons we learned, inshallah. If there's anything in his story that I made a mistake, it's from my own self and this was shayateen. Anything good that came from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I hope he accepts from me and accepts from you guys. Barakallahu fikum. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك لنا فيما اعطيت وقنا شر ما قضيت فانك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك انه لا يذل من واليت ولا يعز من عاديت تبارك ربنا وتعاليت. اللهم صل وسلم على رسول الله وعلى اله وصحبه اجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزه عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين الحمد لله. جزاكم الله خيرا. هو المهتد ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. اشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله. اما بعد. فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي اللهم صل وسلم على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Brings you a lot of sadness to finally come to a conclusion to the series of Omar ibn Khattab. But inshallah, there are some lessons tonight that are going to be among the most important ones. There's a beautiful dua that Omar ibn Khattab used to make because the Prophet ﷺ, he was the greatest teacher to the Sahaba. And at one moment, the Prophet ﷺ is teaching the Sahaba about the importance of dua. And he's telling them to supplicate anything they need to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Umar, he asked the Prophet ﷺ, he said, what if we ask Allah for a lot? What if we ask him? What if we like ask him for so much? And then the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he responded to him, and he said, Allahu Akbar. Allah is more. Allah is more than anything that you can ask. So ask whatever you want. So right off the bat, beautiful lesson for us. Don't think that your dua is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot answer. Don't think your dua is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cannot respond to or bless you with. And Umar, he had a very beautiful dua. And he would ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala frequently. He would say, Allahumma rzuqni shahadatan fi sabilik waj'al mawti fi baladi nabiyyik. He would say, Ya Allah, make me die the death of a martyr. Rzuqni, bless you, provide me with the death of a martyr, and let my death be in the city of your Prophet, in Medina. he would make another dua where he would say, Allahumma la taj'al qatli ala yadi abdin sajada laka sajdatan yuhajuni biha yawm al-qiyamah. So he said, and don't let my death, or don't let me be killed by someone who has ever done a sajda, so that maybe he can use this sajda against me on the day of judgment. Maybe he can use this against me on the day of judgment. So what he's asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for is he wants to die a shaheed. He wants to die the death of a shaheed. And he wants to die a shaheed in Medina, and he wants the one to kill him not to be a Muslim. This was his dua. And his son Abdullah and his daughter Hafsa would tell their father, how do you expect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you shahada in Medina? There's no war happening in Medina. The wars were happening in Persia, the wars were happening in Iraq, in Iran, the wars were happening in the Roman Empire, in Sham. Medina is the central. Nobody can reach to Medina. And non-Muslims were not allowed to live in Medina. There was an exception to this. And the exception, but Omar would respond to them and he would say, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes it to happen, it's going to happen. He had that firm belief. If I want something, let me ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that thing. There's nothing you can't ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala except if it be something which is haram, or something which is forbidden, or something that is bad for you. But anything you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will bless you with, whether in this life or rewarded in the next. So, there was an exception to this. The exception was if you were an employee or a slave of a Muslim and you were a non-Muslim, and there was a reason for you to be in Medina, then you would be allowed in Medina. And this was an exception that was made. And among these who fit this category was a Zoroastrian, a fire worshipper, a Persian by the name of Abu Lu'lu al-Majusi. His name was Fairuz. Abu Lu'lu. And he was the slave of Al-Mughira bin Shu'bah. Al-Mughira bin Shu'bah was one of the top Sahaba of the Prophet Muhammad, very beloved Sahabi to Rasulullah. And as we know, Umar was extremely just. Umar was extremely fair. We spoke about his fairness. And he was even fair with the non-Muslims. He was fair with the non-Muslims. When Amr ibn al-As, his son, and Amr ibn al-As was the governor of which country? Jazakumullah khair. He was the governor of Egypt at the time of Umar ibn Khattab. And Amr ibn al-As' son, he made a type of wager, or he made some kind of a bet with a non-Muslim. Not a money bet, but a kind of wager that something would happen or he would win at something. The details are not clear, but basically he wagered with a non-Muslim and he lost the wager. He lost the wager, the son of Amr ibn al-As. And he was so embarrassed that he lost the wager, he beat this non-Muslim. He beat this Jewish man. He whipped him. And this Jewish man, knowing of the adl of Al-Faruq, Umar ibn Khattab, he went to Medina from Egypt and he visited Umar and he complained to Umar about what the son of Amr did. And Umar ibn Khattab called the son of Amr and he called Amr as well. And he gave a weapon to the Jewish man and he said, beat the son of Amr as he has beat you, and beat him until you are satisfied. And Amr ibn al-As, his father, stepped in and said, Umar, I think that's a bad idea. I don't think you should do that. Because if you get people used to the idea of beating those who are their leaders, it's going to create some corruption in the land, and we should avoid that. So let me just pay him instead. Let me just agree on a financial amount to give him instead. But the Jewish man refused. He said, I was beaten for no reason. I want to beat the one who beat me. And Umar agreed with that. And so Amr ibn al-As' son was beaten in the court of Umar in front of everybody and humiliated until the Jewish man was satisfied. And Umar asked him, are you satisfied, or would you like to hit him some more? He said, no, I'm satisfied. And so he gave the weapon back to Umar. Umar gave the weapon back to the Jewish man. And he said, now you beat his father, Amr. Now you beat his father, Amr ibn al-As. And Amr said, yeah, why would you beat me? And he said, because if it weren't for your position in Egypt, your son would not have allowed himself to do what he did. Your son only acted that way because of the arrogance that you have instilled in him by virtue of your position. So you deserve a beating as well. But the Jewish man said, yeah, Omar, I don't want to fight Amr. I have nothing against Amr, thank you. And he gave the weapon back to Omar. But this was the justice that everybody knew they would get from Omar. Absolute justice over there. And so Abu Lu'lu' al-Majusi, he had a query. He had a problem with Al-Mughira bin Shu'bah. And the problem was that Abu Lu'lu', the reason why Al-Mughira bin Shu'bah wanted to hire him was because he was very skilled at making weapons. He was very skilled at making weapons, and he could make weapons with many different materials. He was very skilled with stone, with metal, anything you gave him that was able to create weaponry from, he was very skilled at that. And so Al-Mughira used that, and he made him make the weapons as a blacksmith or a stonesmith, and then he would have him sell the weapons, and Al-Mughira, being the boss, basically, or the owner of Lu'lu', he would get a percentage, he would get a cut. Which is no different from any business, right? Any business has employees. The employees sell product. When you go to any store, there's a minimum wage employee working there. The money you give the business doesn't go to the employee necessarily, it goes to the corporation, and the employee gets a salary, he gets a wage. So Abu Lu'lu', he was unhappy with this. Abu Lu'lu' felt that this was unfair because he felt that I'm doing all the work and my boss is taking a lot of the money. He's taking a big percentage, he's taking a big cut. He wasn't happy with this. So he called to Omar and he said, Omar, I want to have a meeting with you in your court with Al-Mughira bin Shu'bah, and I want this matter to be discussed. And Omar was extremely fair, so he allowed it. And he heard both sides. And he found that actually the percentage that Al-Mughira was taking was a very fair percentage. And so he told Abu Lu'lu', he said, اتق الله وأكرم إلى مولاك. So fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and be good towards your mawla, and be good towards your owner. And then he told Al-Mughira bin Shu'bah, after the court case had ended, he went to Al-Mughira and he said, be good to your slave. Be lenient to your slave and be kind to him. This was after your step. And so then he said, bring me some water. Bring me some water. Must be thirsty, right? She got stabbed a bunch. Bring me some water. What do you think he did with the water? He made wudu because he had to finish his Fajr prayer. He had to finish his Fajr prayer. Bro, how many dudes wake up, miss Fajr, don't care, go have their breakfast, take their shower, watch their Saturday morning cartoons. I don't know what the heck these guys are doing before catching their Fajr that they missed. Yeah, bro, I'll just chill, I'll just pray it later. Bro, how are you awake and breathing and you've missed Fajr and you haven't prayed Fajr yet? Yeah, bro, I'll pray when I get to school, I'll pray when I get to work, I'll pray after the What are you talking about? Omar has literally just been killed. And he wakes up, and after making sure the people have prayed, he asks for wudu to do his prayer. The prayer's already Allah. It's already gone. He already missed the prayer because it's sunrise. He already missed the prayer. But he doesn't want to do anything before he does his Fajr. There's nothing that was more important to him than Salah. That's why he was who he was. So he finished wudu, he finishes his Fajr prayer, and then he asks for some milk. And he drinks the milk. And they find that the milk is coming out of his stomach. The cuts were that deep that the milk was not being held inside his body, it was coming out of his stomach. And so they knew he was going to die. And so he set some affairs right. He made sure they established a Shura council for the next Khalifa. He asked of the wife of the Prophet Muhammad, Aisha, if he could be buried next to the Prophet and Abu Bakr, and he was granted that request. He set his affairs right. And then he told his son, Abdullah bin Umar. Because Abdullah bin Umar he had his father Umar's head on his lap. Because Umar it took him a few days to pass away actually. A few days. And his head was on the lap of his son Abdullah. And then he told his son, he said, put my head on the ground. He said, why would I put your head on the ground? He said, because I hope that when I die, my face can be on the dirt, so that maybe Allah will look at me and have mercy on me. And his son, Abdullah said, Baba, I don't want to do that. Baba, I don't want to put your head on the dirt. So I got that much respect for his dad. And Omar said, "Oh my son, if this face is going to enter hellfire, if this face is going to enter Jahannam, then you don't want it on your lap. And if this face is going to enter Jannah, then the pillows of Jannah are softer than your legs. So please, my son, put my hand on the ground." And he passed away. This was Omar ibn Khattab, the man who was about to kill the Prophet, ended up being one of the greatest heroes Islam has ever heard of. He lived a life patrolling at night, praying at night, fasting in the day, not eating when the Muslims couldn't eat, not having any money when he couldn't give it fi sabilillah, raising an ummah to be leaders of the world, the biggest, greatest military leader, the biggest, greatest leader the Khilafah the world has ever seen. In terms of his Khilafah work, no one's ever seen a Khilafah like Omar. The world's never seen a leader like Omar. And some people might say, that's a beautiful death. And I want to die like Omar. And I've had brothers come and see me and tell me, they say, wow, that's an amazing death. I want to die like Omar. And who here doesn't want to die a death like Omar? Omar died in Masjid al-Nabawi during Salat al-Fajr in sujood as he was leading the Salah in al-Masjid al-Nabawi, and he died a shaheed. Shaheed. In Masjid al-Nabawi. And by the way, he died on the 21st of Dhul-Hijjah. He died 11 days after Hajj. He had just done Hajj. He performed Hajj. He did one Salat al-Jum'ah. Then he died during Fajr in sujood, killed as a shaheed, leading Fajr in Masjid al-Nabawi. Who doesn't want a death like Omar? And then he was buried next to the Prophet Muhammad and Abu Bakr. Who doesn't want a death like Omar? So brothers come and see me and they say, well, I want a death like Omar. I say, perfect. You want to die praying Fajr at the mosque? Yes, I would love that. When is the last time you prayed Fajr at the mosque? How do you want to die praying Fajr at the mosque if you're not praying Fajr at the mosque? Bro, you're going to die the way you lived. Omar could have died at any moment and his death would have been amazing because his life was amazing. Bro, any time Omar would have died, it would have been an amazing death. It wasn't luck. It wasn't chance. It wasn't a fluke. Habibi, if he died in the morning, he'd be praying Fajr. If he died at night, he'd be praying Qiyam. If he died during the day, he'd be fasting. If he died at any moment, it would be an amazing death. He would tell stories and say, oh my God, Omar died when he was fasting. He didn't even break his fast. He broke his fast with the death and that any death he had would have been an amazing death. And we want to die a death like that. But we want to live a life like ours. We want to live a life like ours. We want to die a death like Omar. That doesn't make sense, bro. That doesn't make any sense. You can't do that. Or you're going to die the way you live. You're going to die the way you live. Because you're going to die while you're alive. You're going to be living your life and death is going to come. That's how you're going to die. So the way you live your life is the way you're going to also die. All of you are going to die. I'm going to die. And the question is not if I'm going to die. The question really isn't even when am I going to die. Some brothers ask, I wonder when I'm going to die. That doesn't matter. What matters is how you're going to die. Because you don't choose when you're going to die. But you can choose how you're going to die. You can choose that. Like one of the Muslims, he said, I've never seen anything that is so, listen to this. He said, I've never seen anything that is so uncertain and people spend all their time focusing on it like the dunya. I've never seen anything so uncertain that people spend all their time focusing on more than the dunya. And I've never seen something so certain that people don't think about like death. Isn't that crazy? How uncertain is the dunya? How uncertain is the dunya? How flimsy is the dunya? How quickly can the dunya go? Recession, stock market crashes, COVID, you lose your job, or anything can happen. How uncertain is the dunya? We spend all our time on it. How certain is death? And we spend no time preparing for it. We know Muslims, brothers in this room have prayed janazah with me on Muslims who have died on a drug overdose. And brothers in this room and myself have prayed janazah on other Muslims who have died shahada. And they weren't very old. The brother wants to die saying La ilaha illallah. He's driving his car on the highway blasting music. Blasting music in your car, bro? You're blasting music in your car? What if you have an accident? You think you're going to say the shahada? You're going to repeat some stupid lyrics, some stupid rapper is blasting your car. What do you think? You're going to blast some stupid music? You're going to be about to die? The music is blasting in your car, and you're going to say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. You're stupid? Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Are you going to die the way you lived? I'm talking to myself too, bro. What do I spend my time doing? Somebody say, I want to die in my sleep. I heard I want to die in my sleep. Nice, soft, easy death. Really? What did you do before you went to sleep? What did you do before you went to sleep? Because if you want to die in your sleep, the last deed you did is the deed you did before you went to sleep. So what do you do before you go to sleep? You're reading Quran before bed? You're praying with him? Or are you doing something else? Are you texting a girl? Are you calling a girl? Are you FaceTiming with a girl? Are you out with your friends doing some stupid haram stuff your parents, you would never want them to find out about? Are you lying to your parents, sneaking out?